but he thought he was a nobody. Like, this guy really thought he was a nobody. And what makes him a true artist, it's not just the paintings, it's the writings as well. This book will touch you. You don't even need to be an artist. You don't even need to consider yourself a creative to be touched by the very essence of Van Gogh. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lyceum podcast, where the fruits of contemplation are shared with others. I'm your host as usual, Riyad Hassi. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me in the 4th episode in the 3rd season. We're coming across nicely, and if you're still with us, thank you. If you're just joining, welcome. Today is an episode I'm super excited to do. Vincent Van Gogh is a man who beyond the grave has done a lot for me. His story, his life, and his tragic ending has scarred me in ways that I've never thought anyone could. It is my argument that as much as I believe Vincent Van Gogh to be one of the very best painters of all time, I strongly believe he's one of the greatest writers of all time. The way he conducted the pen is just as fine as he conducted the paintbrush. His expression of words and language is just as fine as his expression of colour, I argue. It is almost dumbfounded me to believe that the Vincent Van Gogh letters is a piece of literature that's gone very unnoticed in the world of beauty. However, before we jump into the fruit bowl, can we attempt to at least maybe hit 25 likes and leave a comment if you have read, or just share your thoughts of what you think of Vincent Van Gogh, or your takeaways from this episode, or perhaps any more literature you would like me to review or books you suggest. I'm always open to new things like that. However, let's jump in. Very few artists have ever left their colours on society. When I even say that great man's name, Vincent Van Gogh, you instantly think of the yellows of his sunflowers or the blues of the starry night. How can a man almost monopolize colours himself? Born on March 30th, 1853, his paintbrush only reigned for 37 years until he died on July 29th, 1890, from suicide. His last words before he died were, "This sadness will last forever." Tragic words for a powerful mind. It's quite a heartbreaking story. Yet, when you find out that he only picked up the paintbrush at 27, and then I tell you he created over 2,000 pieces of artwork just in 10 years alone, you see he was almost an artistic shooting star. He came and went so fast. Think about the other greats, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Monet, Picasso. They lived well into their elderly years. But in that time, he lit up the art world. I really believe in some essence he is some sort of an artistic prophet. And we all know that prophets need a holy book. And to me, the Vincent Van Gogh letters should be every artist's holy text. If you consider yourself an artist, a creative, and you struggle against the very voices that tell you to stop being an artist, this book will liberate you from your own suffering, I argue. These letters are spanning from 1872 to 1890. They encapsulate the soul of a tortured yet liberated soul, and perhaps that's why he was so tormented, because his imagination and spirit was freer than the most. In these letters you will find the philosophy of life, what it means to be an artist, and more than anything, how to be and what is a passionate person. Trust me, I believe myself to be a very passionate man. But when I read this book, I had to be reminded of how dispassionate I am for life. How much I think in my teenager years, it was sapped out of me. The letters would be between himself and Theo. Theo was his little brother. But to be honest, he was more of his older brother. He financially supported Vincent throughout his life and helped support his art career, since he believed in his brother so much. I always say, if you are not a Vincent, be a Theo. Their relationship was beautiful and a touching one. Many times Vincent would send letters over to Theo and say, brother, I just want to give up. I'm not as good as I thought I was. But then Theo would send letters back like, come on, Vincent, believe in yourself. I love you. You're my brother. I know you can do this. I'm giving you this money, allowing you not to work a job and financially support you because I know you have it I know it's in you to be a great artist. Passion is essential to life. It is the light inside the lamp. And if you want proof of passion, then these letters are for you. This man lived a torturous life, poverty to heartbreak in the battle against himself, health problems into social problems, and a mother who never really loved him. Loneliness was also a big factor. He wrote, "There is a great fire burning within me, but no one stops to warm themselves at it, and passers-by only see whispers of smoke." Heartbreaking to read. But then you look at his paintings and you see the optimism of the colours, the strokes of beauty and love splashed all over it. And you try to marry up what he went through versus his art and it leaves you dumbfounded. How can a man live in such pain and suffering? And we all know the madness of cutting his own ear off. But then you look at the man's paintings and they're colourful, beautiful, optimistic. He is a great example of transferring all pain and suffering into some ecstatic beauty, you know? And I think that's the goal of every human being who considers himself an artist, is to take pain and suffering they see in the world and transform it in some form of optimism and beauty. I'm going to read you something he wrote. "The world concerns me only in as far as I owe it a certain debt and duty, so to speak, because I have walked this earth for 30 years and out of gratitude would like to leave some memento in the form of drawings and paintings, not made to please this school or that, but to express a genuine human feeling." This quote, in my view, beautifully understands the essence of all art, to teach humanity how to love and unlearn hatred, a memento of gratitude for the gift of life itself. He believes paintings is his way of dropping his coin into the fountain of life. Me? I believe this podcast or my future books is my way of dropping my hat to life. Thank you for allowing me to breathe and live, to feel and give, to grow and feel pain. What other mode, what other art can we use? Some of us use music, poetry, beauty, singing as a way to give thanks to life. And this is the essence of all art. Art isn't there to express and showcase pain. Pain is so easy to portray, namely because we can all experience pain. All of us, as long as you're a human being with breath, you will experience pain. If you are a creator, painter, singer, rapper, writer, it does not matter. The letters will sing you a song and you shall never forget its melody. Vincent Van Gogh is a man we also always associate with madness and the artist who went crazy. If you think he painted those masterpieces because he was losing his mind, then you must educate yourself through these letters. He was a voracious learner and a deeply passionate man who above else loved strengthening his mind and spirit. This is what he wrote on page 66. "I have a more or less irresistible passion for books and the constant need to improve my mind. To study, if you like, just as if I need to eat bread. You will understand that. When I have lived in other surroundings full of pictures and works of art, I conceived a violent, almost fanatical passion for those surroundings, as you know. And I do not regret that. And even now, far from home, I often feel homesick for the land of pictures." What beauty. How he explains the creative process is phenomenal. If you wish to be a creative, you have to be a voracious learner. You have to be someone who loves learning. Like they say, a creative only creates out of what he knows. If he knows little, he won't create much. Or if he does create, it won't be very profound. If you develop a voracious passion for learning, have a deep sense for literature, philosophy, maybe religion, and other higher arts, you will start having a bucket where you can pull ideas out of. And I love that line. It's such a beautiful line. I often feel homesick from the land of pictures. And that's how I often feel at times. I feel homesick from the land of books. If I haven't read or learned anything for a couple of days, I feel sick. I feel like scratching myself. I feel disgusting. Because as I always said in my last episode, learning cleans perception. Learning purifies. If you get to a creative block, I don't believe in creative blocks. I think creative blocks means the limitations of what you know. okay? And when you hit that block, it means you have to come away from the desk, the studio, and learn more. Add more things into the toolbox. Draw from philosophy, draw from other arts. All great artists are synthesizers of other arts. Like Richard Wagner in classical music borrowed from philosophy, literature, history, poetry, mathematics, and synthesized it all into one composition. And it's the same with other artists. Vincent Van Gogh borrows from Shakespeare. He speaks a lot about Shakespeare. He borrows from Millais, Rembrandt, and synthesizes all these great ideas and arts into one bigger art. That is the artist. Too many of you artists nowadays like to be too individual, too unique, too different from everyone. But no, an artist always borrows from other artists. An art is to be inspired by other art. And Vincent Van Gogh saying that he has a passion for books and other art is the best indication that if one of the greatest painters of all time does it, why are you not doing it? You're sitting and saying, I'm an artist. You're not an artist. An artist is someone who's a voracious learner who wishes to express something that others have already expressed, but this time only through their own tongue, their own eye. His philosophy of art and life is very beautiful too. He says this on page 394. I can do well without God in both my life and also in my painting. But suffering as I am, I cannot do without something greater than myself, something which is life, the power to create. And if deprived of the physical power, one tries to create thoughts instead of children. One is still very much part of humanity. And in my pictures, I want to say something consoling as music does. I want to paint men and women with the touch of the eternal, whose symbol was once the halo, which you try to convey by the very radiance and vibrancy of our colouring. To say that his paintings is his children. Parents have a child to produce goodness in the world. They raise their child to be good moral beings with something hopefully to offer to humanity. But he sees the same way to his paintings. He paints to inspire us. It's his children in the world. He paints and goes, go out into the world and inspire others. Just as a parent would try and nurture their child, he tries to nurture his art. If you're an artist watching this, or you believe yourself capable of being an artist, your artwork should absolutely be seen in the same vein as a child. It is your baby. It's yours to nurture. You create, you mold, you shape, you sculpt this piece of art into the finest specimen possible. And if it isn't, that's okay. You still try. Van Gogh loved nature and also gazed upon her flesh. And I always say it's as if Mother Nature herself fell in love with Vincent and in secret allowed him to paint her naked. The dashes and the array of energy and flow. It's as if he saw nature's essence moving itself. His eyes made contact with nature's eyes itself. If you see his style, he sees past nature's appearance and paints something underneath. When you see his paintings, it's always like a flow of energy, and it's just so beautiful. His eyes were born and wired for this type of life. His writings were truly something deep down from his soul. We as artists are allowed to baptize our doubts and fear in his words. It's almost a crime not to consider yourself an artist and not read these letters. Vincent Van Gogh to me is one of the finest men of all time. He is the greatest example of everything I wish to be and everything I don't want to be. He was a man full of passion, bustling full of radiance. But he's something and that is something I wish to be like. I want to remain as passionate as possible in life. I don't want to get to 40 and run out of passion, run out of love for life, okay? I remember reading a quote when I was young. It said, many a man die at 25, but they don't get buried till 75. In meaning that they lose their passion at 25 and they don't get buried till 75. Or in other words, passion itself is life. No passion, no life. You're best off dead if you have no passion, okay? If you lose your passion, you're just waiting to die, I would argue. And Vincent Van Gogh is a guy that lost everything in his life. He lost hopes of everything. But that one thing called passion, he held on through the darkness and he allowed it to carry him. And where has it carried him? It's carried him to the modern day. And people like me and you can be truly inspired by something like this. He truly is a great paradox, because how is it he died at 37 and he accomplished so much, but he thought he was a nobody? Like, this guy really thought he was a nobody. And what makes him a true artist it's not just the paintings, it's the writings as well. This book will touch you. You don't even need to be an artist. You don't even need to consider yourself a creative to be touched by the very essence of Van Gogh. His paintbrush does this. It touches you. He colors you. His voice becomes ingrained inside of you. And obviously, I want you to read the book. I don't want me to read it for you. But today, as I go through YouTube and other social media apps, I don't really see much coverage on this. And it's something I think is a shame, but it's also good because it means society might found a new answer, not through his paintings and images, but through his words. The words in this book contain magic. That's one of our greatest human fears, is a tragic life. To have the great potential and the passion to do something and not do it at all. Aiming for the stars and not reaching there is a tragedy. And Vincent Van Gogh, without any doubt, is a tragedy because he never got to see his success. One of my favorite things ever, and I'm going to finish episodes on this before I touch off, is the Doctor Who episode. I remember as a kid, it really stuck with me, where Doctor Who brings him into the future, 2010, and lets him see Musée d'Orsay, where the majority of Van Gogh's masterpieces are held, and Van Gogh gets to see who he became. And it was too much for him. He's crying, he's tearing. But that scene breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I'm going to leave it in the description. But Vincent Van Gogh, man, please read this book. What a book, man. I can feel myself welling up even thinking about it. Wow. I hope you guys can take away from this episode something profound or remotely interesting. And I'm gonna leave the description. I'll leave in the description where you can buy the books. Not expensive. It's like £8. You probably buy it at a thrift shop, maybe for 2-3. But yeah, please leave in the comment section if you suggest me to read any other book. But wow. Now I leave it over to you.